This is so much easier than it looks on TV. If my mic is nice, give me two thumbs up. And I'm just going to talk my way through this. I've tried several different ways to launch this particular podcast, and this is just a test. So I'm just going to let the beat rock tonight, and I'm going to talk to you from the heart. My name is Citizen Jane. And I'd like to greet all of my night flyers out there who are like myself, up past midnight, having a little libation, and like to talk about, I don't know, the esoteric horror movies, um, favorite television shows. Like I was telling someone earlier, if it involves a dragon, a vampire, or something supernatural, I want to discuss it with you. And tonight, I wanted to talk about Orphan, more specifically, Orphan First Kill. But in order to do that, I had to go back to the beginning and I had to watch the original. And I seem to have this memory of watching the original, of seeing of seeing the advertisement. Let me get a drink here before I really get started. Probably should have done that beforehand. When I saw the original trailer, I was like, oh, I got to see this because it just looks so interesting. And I wanted to know what this little girl's secret was. The truth of the matter is, I have a fascination with creepy children. And I want to use this channel to do a series on creepy children. And I'm always fascinated because there's a theme that children represent, an innocence, and you automatically let your guard down. And the idea that if children are innocent and you're unaware that you're going to eventually end up getting 1-2 in the back, you know? And that's a very scary thought. And so this is the first and what I hope to be my creepy children's series. So I went back and I watched the original movie, and I see this the most horrifying sight that a woman can witness, which is another woman having a miscarriage. And I think that that was probably the most brutal, terrifying part of the movie. And I so much so that I'd actually forgotten about it when I first um, went into my memory bank to think about aspects of this film. And then I got engrossed because of that, because they transition very quickly into the family healing. They already have two kids. They're very affluent, and they decide that they're going to. They have a lot of love to give, and that there's an empty space in their family, and so enter Esther. And the original movie was done in 2009. So the original Orphan was this psychological thriller, and the adoption of this little 9-year-old girl seems very plausible because in 2009, yeah, she looked like a 9-year-old girl. It is, and you're able to, as you go through this story, suspend your disbelief as you see her and you realize that there's something not right about her. So you go on this journey because you're blindsided. You don't know Esther's secret. And then slowly but surely, as things start to unravel, and we find out that she's not just some precocious kid, she's not just suffering from the trauma that's associated with abandonment or adoption. Not much is ever known about her background, but she has an alarmingly advanced knowledge of how babies are made, and she always has this love for eerie classical music. I mean, I gotta take a editorial note here and say the kid just starts playing the piano, right? She just starts, she's a virtuoso. So either get this kid to Juilliard because she's a genius, or you got demon spawn on your hands. I'm not sure when you really make that call, but I think it's long before bodies start turning up. But you know what? I'm reading ahead. Anybody who's here knows the story, right? Is that this little bundle of joy that's sent to fill the empty lives of these extremely affluent couples. And can I say that I did not appreciate it in 2009, but this house is gorgeous. I mean, it's like a log cabin thing in the woods, perfect place for bad things to happen to you and nobody to discover the body for days. But it's furnished beautifully and they drive a Lexus SUV. Not that I'm a label girl, but come on, mama likes nice things. So, anyway, we find out in the first film that this girl, whom all of these strange, unexplained occurrences and bodies seem to turn up after she enters the lives of this couple. And they find out that in reality, she's a 33-year-old mental patient with a rare metabolic condition from a foreign country. And you go, huh, now everything makes sense. And the first time I remember that you just, it's kind of like the type of film where you get sucked in with popcorn, or you're on the phone with your best friend, or hopefully you got somebody there that you can go, girl, did you see that as you're watching it? Great film. But in 2009, it was believable because with the absence of makeup, the right wardrobe, and some adjustments, she looks like a little 9-year-old girl. But in 2022, am I still gonna buy that 13 years later, she still looks like a little 9-year-old girl? And what possible story could you have to make me believe that in a prequel, no less, that the now 31-year-old mental patient is believable 13 years later as a 9-year-old girl? Well, I don't know how they did it, but they pulled it off. See, here's the thing, that they did something right here. The first thing they did was they leaned in to their own crazy. They leaned into their own impossible possibilities by opening the film in Estonia, 2007, in the mountains, in a mental facility, in complete and total isolation. And you wonder, that's a really great place to put things. unless you house murderous people who might go on a rampage, and then that might spell trouble for you later on. But again, we're reading ahead. We know how it goes. Esther does what Esther does, and we're introduced to Esther through the doctor giving a new art therapist the run of the place. Excuse me. It seems that the old art therapist met with an untimely accident. And wouldn't you venture a guess to say that Esther favorite activity at the facility would be art therapy because she's quite a gifted artist, actually. And she meets the therapist, and gives us a great opportunity to get into Esther's whole backstory. And her real name is Lena. And in the original film, they make it seem as if there are two personalities. There's the sweet, loving, childlike Esther personality, and then there's the cold, methodical, mildly psychotic, extremely sociopathic Lena. But what we find out is that there is no separation between these two personalities. They're actually one and the same. There is no Esther and there is no Lena separately. They actually are the same person, housed in the same body, dealing with the same kind of crazy. We find that Esther, or Lena, has spent her life, no one knows where she came from, no one knows where she went. They only know how she got there. Apparently, she has spent her life grifting and taking advantage of families who felt pity for her and took this poor little orphan in. And in the beginning, she would just rob them. She would stay long enough to gain their trust and rob them. But the last family, well, they don't elaborate on what happened to the last family. But needless to say, it was something that got you locked up in a mental institution for life. Now, Lena is viewed as one of the most dangerous patients in this hospital. And there are several moments where you go, hmm, maybe a facility of this nature is not secure enough for Lena, because at every twist and turn, she quickly demonstrates that she wants to get out and she's willing to do anything to do it. And of course, we see the character we come to know and love, Esther. Esther stars Estering. Now, in the interim, Esther hasn't apparently let any grass grow under her feet. This young lady has developed excellent taste over the years. She only drinks the finest of wines. She is a piano virtuoso. And when she picks a family, let me tell you, she goes strictly top shelf yet again. And it's all private planes and Fabergé eggs in a house that can only be lovingly described as a mansion. I mean, this place is gorgeous. Something that every homicidal maniac could want. Did I mention that I think Esther's crazy? Yeah. And I mean that in the most loving way. She's really, really not rap fairy type. But my mom said that everything costs, even when you get everything you want. And F. Scott Fitzgerald says that the rich are different. And I think that we really learn that. And so it's in short order, about an hour before a huge twist occurs. And we come to find out that this isn't just an affluent family adopting an adorable little girl. No, no. This is a family where everyone is absolutely ridiculous with their neuroses, their secrets, and their hidden agendas. One of the most interesting things is the subtext of films. I'm always fascinated by that. And one of the things here is that the dad happens to be a painter, and his specialty in painting is these paintings with a hidden picture underneath. That is the almost perfect on the nose metaphor for this family. They are picture perfect with just something hidden beneath the surface. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything for you. I've already fumbled and bumbled my way through this, and I hope it's been entertaining thus far. But what I would like to say is that I honestly enjoyed the whole ride, and I didn't think I would. I didn't pick up my phone. I didn't get distracted. I was thoroughly engaged. And I'm really surprised because one would think, where's the twist? Where's the surprise? You know how this story ends. When we saw the first movie, it was pretty finite. But nay, nay, this is Hollywood. Not only have they set you up with a completely plausible and enjoyable premise, it's got sequel written all over it, because now we want to know exactly where was Esther slash Lena before she came to stay in the mountains of Estonia at that facility. I mean, there's just so many places this franchise can go. I mean, because we're going to suspend the disbelief. Maybe they'll need to work on the makeup a little bit. It does get a little creepy, as several people have noted, when they put her head on a child's body and they kind of use an actual child for her back shots. That gets a little, eh, just ignore that and enjoy the film. I haven't really quite developed a rating system yet, but if I did, I have 3 out of 5 imaginary icons that I'm going to award this as a recommendation. I think that there's enough here to really warrant um, at least doing a trial membership on Paramount Plus to watch this film. I think it's a good idea that it was on streaming and not in theaters, because I don't know how enjoyable I would find it if I had to actually put on pants and leave the house to go see it. But as a midnight movie with a glass of wine and a friend over your house, or heck, even on the phone, it's a good time. I can't complain. And that's it for Orphan Kills. I've stumbled and bumbled my way through this. I'm not even sure if it uploads properly. But I'm gonna give it the old college try this time. I have more pictures that I wanted to show because this film actually looks incredible. The cinematography is really good. And once again, she picks the best families to scam because the house is beautiful. Um, oh, a shout out to Julia Stiles, who plays a really, really interesting character in this film as the mother of the family. She adds a certain something to the gumbo. In fact, I would say that the whole cast just kind of leaned in and seemed like they had a great time being bad. And with that, I'll say again, like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to get all of that down. I really am. You know, I'm going to figure out music and intros and other things to keep you guys entertained because this has only been 22 minutes and I'm going to listen back to see if I was rambling. But I had a good time. I hope you did too. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the flip side.